I struggle with process, especially when I don't experience positive results. I've had to learn how to become really self-aware of this tendency, so I can remind myself that 1 unit of effort never equates to 1 unit of results, especially when my motivation wanes. In this snippet, Pam and I explore the power of process in transforming your sales and reducing performance stress. You'll learn how to scale your prospect efforts and build a consistent, high-performing sales machine. We'll break down how to tackle prospecting in an organized, consistent way and why daily habits and accountability are the key to long-term growth. If you're ready to take your sales game to the next level, listen to this snippet and then scroll back to episode 12, Prospecting, the Missing Link, to hear the full conversation.
So one of the things that I see a lot in coaching is you see a lot of ups and downs. I had a great year. I had a not so good year. I had a great year. I had a not so good year. That's when we can normally start pointing to, well, that's a lack of process. And how much better could you have been had you put a process in place? So what we talk about is process is all about one step at a time. And it's amazing when I show some of the folks who don't utilize a process today, what it does look like when you've got a process that's humming. And I say a machine that you've built, right? I call it the machine that you've built that allows your business to stay healthy in a consistent manner. When I show folks the machine that other folks have built who live and die by process, then it starts to make a lot more sense. And Dan, to your point, what we try to do is help people understand that process is always one step at a time. We can't go from not having a process at all to now, okay, everything is structured. I know everything that I'm doing every single day. It's one piece at a time. But then the great thing is over time, even through the course of a year, we can start with, okay, let's just put a couple of fundamental elements in place that you know you have to do each and every week. And then by the end of the year, they can see all this process and progress between, okay, I started out doing just a couple things every single week to now I have built this foundation that I just can keep adding to over time. So it has to be deliberate and it has to be one step at a time.
Let's break it down a little further. You talk to a lot of sales professionals every month. Let's take those sales professionals who are trying to gain a rhythm, those who have yet to attain the level of success that they want. You know, fairly new sales professionals, maybe with 5-7 years experience. And they lack process, but they have drive and they have competitiveness and they're hard workers. Where does someone like that start?
Folks that are new to process, I always start with what are the most important components of your business. And so number one is always prospecting. I'm not going to continue to be able to close deals if I'm not meeting new people each and every day. So I usually always will start with prospect. So we have to focus on understand how they're approaching it now. So how are you approaching your prospecting efforts right now? And Dan, 9 times out of 10, it's willy-nilly. There's no set anything to it. There's no agenda. There's no structure. There's no anything. Oh, I don't know. If I have time, I'll do this. If I have time, I'll do this. If there's a networking event next week, I know I'm doing that. And so it's like, let's pull back and identify. Let's just start with one thing that you want to commit to every day regarding the most important aspect of your business, which is prospecting. So for example, like maybe a newer producer, it's 5 outreaches every single day. Every single day. I know I can commit to that. I can start there and we can build from there. In some cases, it's just how about researching and adding 2 or 3 companies to the list of people I know I want to be reaching out to. Sometimes it's just blocking time, starting with, hey, let's just put 30 minutes on the calendar each and every day. What I try to do is make sure we start with a daily element, one daily element. Part of the reason process can be so compelling over time is because you start to have a daily implementation of the things that you know are vital to your success. So every day, what can you commit to? Is it 30 minutes to start? Is it researching 2 companies? Is it making 3 outreaches? And then we build from there. Is it building an organizational structure? Is it spending 30 minutes a day to organize yourself on say, Salesforce? So it's some daily element that I like to start with to start building towards process.
Somebody gets it started and they're doing what you said, a process, and they're 2 weeks in. There's that temptation, right, where it's like, okay, I've been really good for 2 weeks. It's Sunday night. I don't really feel like spending a half an hour mapping out my week. I'll get up tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, 6 a.m. I'll map it out then. What would you say to that person if you were coaching them?
So here comes the A word, accountability. We always start something raring to go. And we see this a lot, for the first couple weeks, even the first maybe 3 weeks, I'm hitting on all cylinders. And now all of a sudden my discipline starts to fall off. That's when we start to understand what kind of accountability metrics need to be put in place so that somebody can go longer periods of time before having that exception to the rule. And Dan, discipline is funny. We all think we have this unbelievable level of discipline. Process will start to identify your weaknesses in your level of discipline. As long as I can have somebody start to have exceptions where it's not the rule anymore that all of a sudden I'm abandoning everything I'm doing. It's an exception. That's progress. But accountability is part of that.
As we conclude this episode, I want you to consider this. What one daily habit could you commit to that would transform your sales process? Remember, it's not about perfection, but progress. It's okay to miss a day, but make the commitment to never miss 2 in a row. Start small, be consistent, and watch your process begin to take shape.